Hello again, and just a short video on some expanding possibilities with the threading jig. Things like there are spindles so you can make M33 wooden threads, really handy for jigs and such like. This is a male one, but you can make obviously the female thread as well. But also the main possibilities of actually making threaded rings. So you can make threaded rings out of different coloured woods and actually add the threads as contrast to different woods. Or if you have some really soft woods, you can use maybe Blackwood, really hard threads and glue them in as well. So the threads themselves, you just make them the same as what we've already discussed on the threading jig. You make them as long as possible, you hollow the inside out, and then you just part them off. You might ask why we want to do this. The reason is we can do things like this with Zebrano, which doesn't take a thread very good, but you can make very short threads. So you can see just a very small Blackwood thread is inserted on these, and also the thread butts up directly against the shoulder, so there's no gap there. So you can make some very interesting projects. Here's just another example. So a very small thread, and it's a box within a box, and the threads butt up exactly to the shoulder, so they just thread back very, very quickly and easily. So another thing that I do when I do make these threaded rings, I've already made 2 or 3 boxes from this one. This is a 20 TPI, and I've already parted some off, but I always part a pair off and then add them to scrap bits of wood. So I would then use these in the chuck to add all the different boxes that I make from that set of rings. So you'll see that those set of threads, well, it's the same, it comes off the same piece. So they all thread in, and you can use those to turn the backs of boxes out of that set. So it's a really good idea to do that. It's quite tricky to part them off, so I'm just going to run through that before we finish off. So I'll just move these out of the way. So this Blackwood set I use to actually insert onto the sphere that I've just shown you. When I do the outside, which gets glued in, I actually put little grooves in there to help the glue. And when I part them off, I actually use a special extra thin parting tool that I've made. This is a hacksaw blade. It's a used one because I have this machine. Obviously be careful to put something over the handle for the teeth, grind that away, take the paint off, and you can use it really, really well for really thin parting. It's about half the thickness of the standard thin parting tool, so you'll get a lot more. There's a lot of effort's gone into making those. You can just buy them, a new one, and just make your own. So really good idea. So extra tricky perhaps to part off. One little trick, and you might not see it in the camera, is when I sharpen the underside on here, there's a little up sharpen, so it's sharpened down and a little on the up. I do that on the angle. So the actual front tip of this has actually got a very slight angle. If I put the shadow over it, maybe you can see it on the top camera, but there's a very slight angle, not too much because it becomes too aggressive, but a slight one. So when we actually break through, it doesn't chip all the way through, it just takes that part off, and then we can clean this off. You'll see better in the demonstration. So the one with the internal is the hardest one to do, so we'll have a go. I normally do them about maybe 3 mil. The rest is a little bit low there, let's just take that up a bit. So about 3 mil or so, somewhere like that. So put your hand over and just lightly cover the whole piece. Just very, very gently cut through. Keep your hand there, and it will just fall out into your hand like so. What you're left with is a bit of broken thread. So what I tend to do is just use the carbide and just draw back like so, and to take that broken piece away, like so. put a little chamfer on the edge, and that is now ready to be parted off and glued in to the project. When you glue these in, you have to obviously always put them that way down, because we've got this broken chip on the top, which we will actually turn away once it's glued into the bit of wood. So that's that part. Let's do the other one quickly. The other one's a bit easier because of threads on the outside. So we put that one in. That face has already been prepped because we do that before. Sometimes I put a little chamfer on that edge there. So again, I'll just use the carbide just to very, very gently put that edge on like so. And then again, about 3 mil or so, nice and gently. This one you can put your hand on the inside and just nice and gently take that in, and you should just be able to catch that. And then just clean this one up nice and gently like so, and that's ready for the next cut. So here we have our 2 threaded rings. When we glue them in place, we make sure that the clean side goes down, and then we can trim the top. But here's our threaded rings. They will thread together. I normally just keep them in sets like so, ready for the next project of threaded rings. Thanks for watching. I hope you get some really good ideas. The possibilities are endless, different colours, woods, etc., etc. I hope you get out there and have some fun with it. Thanks for watching.